Hi on the Daily Family. Happy Tuesday, or of course, whenever you're hearing this. I am freshly back from California. We flew out to Stagecoach Country Music Festival, which is hosted in the same spot as Coachella, but it's country music. So it's always the last week of April. And we were there all weekend and we just got back and I'm exhausted. However, I just am so inspired, and there were so many stories I heard this weekend that I just want to share with you in this episode because I think it'll resonate with you in some way. Before we do that, I have to tell you that Zero to Launch is officially live. It is officially open. We have started dripping content to everyone inside already, and it's so exciting. I've been working on this program for quite a while, and it was so cool to be able to launch a program while I was dancing in the desert to country music. That was really awesome. So I am so excited that it's here, and you have until the end of this week to jump in. If you are on the fence and you've been wanting to launch a business, if you've been wanting to rebrand your business, whatever it is, this is the time because the doors are going to close and they're not going to reopen this year. So this is not going to be one of the programs you can just join at any time, at least not right now. It'll be a program that we launch every, once a year, twice a year, whenever we decide. And then maybe eventually someday it'll be evergreen. But for now, if launching a business is something that you have as a goal this year or even early next year, I would for sure jump into this program because even if you're not necessarily like ready now, you're going to have lifetime access to this course. And once you have it, you'll be able to watch it and rewatch it as many times as you want. So definitely if a business is in your future, this is the program for you. It's literally going to give you everything you need to know about starting a business and, how to scale it, how to launch it, how to create content, how to find your network, how to grow your network. It's literally all in there, and it's going to be really, really incredible. I'm so excited for the people who are already inside because they are just ready to go, and there's nothing more exciting than that to me. So get in there. If you need the link to that course, you can click that in our show notes, or you can come find me on Instagram, Danielle_on-the-daily. It's in my bio as well on Instagram, so you can find it there. I'm also really excited because Hype You, which is my new business that I co-founded with Chase Mitchell, he and I created Hype You Media, which is a podcast network, and we are officially launched. And Hype University, which is our online membership platform for entrepreneurs, is officially in pre-sale. We are launching it officially in June, and so pre-sale is open for that. But before we jump into this episode, I just have to tell you about another show that's on our network. It's hosted by Harley Jordan, and it is called Brand Meet Creator. She is, first of all, Harley is amazing. I've known Harley for a while now, and she is like a social media guru, as I call it. She would call herself a social media strategist. She's also the founder of All Influence Management, which is a talent agency for business-minded creators. And I just feel like if you're looking for a blunt, real life approved take on building an aligned personal brand, like kind of a pullback the curtain on brand partnerships and all things in the creator economy. So if you are in the creator economy, influencing, affiliate marketing, whatever it is, you got to go listen to Brand Meet Creator. This podcast blows my mind every single day. And obviously I know a little bit about Instagram and I'm happy to share it whenever I can, but Harley is somebody who her career is based around figuring out the algorithm and helping you create a business in the creator economy. So go listen to Brand Meet Creator, and then obviously you can follow Harley at the Harley Jordan on Instagram. But go listen to her because she's amazing. Okay, so I want to share some stories. They're good stories. I grew up on country music, and this is something that shocks a lot of people because I guess I don't look like somebody who would listen to country music, but I grew up on Garth Brooks. I grew up on Shania Twain. I grew up on Brooks and Dunn. I grew up on Dee Messina and Trisha Yearwood and Vince Gill and George Strait. And since I was a little girl, like there are so many classic country artists that have really shaped my childhood. And so this year at Stagecoach, and honestly, I always wanted to be a country singer. I think for a long time I was like, I'm going to be a country singer. But then I realized in order to be a country singer, you have to know how to sing, and I don't. So I think I'm going to start taking singing lessons. I told Breezy, I said, I think I need a hobby. And I think I'm going to start taking singing and guitar lessons just for me. But that is another story for another day. I will definitely let you know on my progress. However, I wasn't going to become a country music singer is basically like the moral of that story. So instead, I grew up going to shows and country shows, and I have had the privilege of seeing Garth Brooks live. I've seen so many artists at Stagecoach. If you're a country fan and you've never been to California for Stagecoach, like you're missing out. I know there's a lot of really great country music festivals around the country, but I just have a feeling that Stagecoach is one of the best, and I highly suggest that you go see it. But anyway, I got to hear a bunch of stories this week, and I wanted to share them with you because maybe they will resonate and inspire you, because they definitely inspired me. One of the performers, his name is Kane Brown. If you know Kane Brown, then this story you might know this story. He talks about it a lot. He talks about, where he came from and how he kind of rose to where he's at now, which is a country music sensation, but honestly, like a musical sensation. He doesn't really stick to just country. He's kind of breaking the barriers and the borders when it comes to music. And he plays country, but he also plays kind of bluesy. He's very rock inspired, a little bit hip hop. He's just really great. And Breezy and I saw him perform in 2018. That was the first time he performed at Stagecoach, and he was at like the 4 p.m. slot that day. And if you know anything about country music or anything about music festivals in general, if you are in the 4 p.m. slot, nobody's there yet. Like, you're not performing. I mean, obviously at a festival, you're still performing to a lot of people because festivals are enormous, but you're not performing to as many people as, the headliner or even like the 7 p.m. performer. And so he was the 4 p.m. slot, and he was great. I mean, he had a couple hits, and we were like, oh yeah, I've heard this song. And, he was one of those artists, but I became a fan in 2018. And then he performed in 2019. So they had him come back again the next year. And that actually is pretty rare. They don't normally do that. And this time when he came back, he was bumped up to like the 6 p.m. slot, which is better because then more people are there, more people are seeing you. And by now he has a few hits out. You definitely like know who he is. And I remember Breezy and I like looked at each other and we were like, he's gonna make it. Like, he's gonna be a headliner someday. I know it. Flash forward, obviously 2 years of Stagecoach didn't happen because of the panini. But then they came back last year. He didn't perform last year, but then this year he came back and he actually headlined night 2. So he was the last performer of the night. He had lasers. He had fire. He had fireworks. He had LED bracelets that lit up to the beat of the music. I mean, there is no expense he spared. And it was really cool because we got to see him kind of move from, the 4 p.m. slot when he had 1 or 2 hits all the way up until, the headliner on Saturday night, and literally has 25 number 1 songs that he performs. And he even brought his wife out, who they have a song together. And it was just so cool to see that growth over a 6-year period. And he talks a lot about his story. He lived he lived in a car with his mom. His dad's been in jail since 96. He says it a lot. He's like, I'm not supposed to be here. You don't understand. Like, this was never supposed to be me. And he just lives in so much gratitude, and he just works so hard, and he still is like this family man, and he's such an entertainer, and he's kind, and he's genuine, and he's thanking the military, and he's thanking the people for showing up. And, it was just really cool. And I sat there and I was like, damn, 6 years. Like, it took him 6 years to go from the 4 p.m. slot all the way to the headliner. And how many of us like work really hard at our business for maybe 2 or 3 years, and then we're like, oh, it's not working out, and then we quit. Like, 6 years it took him to do that. And it's not like, his first time at Stagecoach was the beginning of his career. I mean, he's been at this for so long, and now he's, one of probably the most well-known country singers of our time. And I think he's just going to continue to get better and better. And he's going to kind of be this pioneer for, blending the borders when it comes to music, like letting music just be music and not having it have so much of a genre. And it's just really cool to see. So that was one story that I thought was really inspiring. The second story I thought that was really inspiring was the band Parmalee. They've actually, so I knew they were performing, and I knew I had heard a song. They have a song called Carolina that is pretty old, and they were performing at, about, I think it was like the 4 p.m. slot this year. And when they were up there performing, the lead singer was like, we've been a band for quite a while. We've been doing this 20 years. It's so cool to be able to play for y'all. And that really struck a chord with me, because I'm like, 20 years took you. You've been a band for 20 years before you ever got this kind of recognition. That's so amazing, right? And again, like how many times have you had a business or an idea and you work at it for a couple months and then you quit? Like, could you stay for 20 years? Could you stay for 20 years and still at 20 years not even get to headline? Like, you're still at the 4 p.m. slot. Like, but it's just, you watch these people on stage and they're in their genius. Like, this is their genius. This is what they're meant to do. You can tell this is what they are here to do. And when you just don't give yourself a backup plan, when you don't give yourself a way out, when you don't, decide that you're going to quit after a few months, that's when the magic happens. And so it was just really, really cool to see that band just get the recognition that they've been working so hard for. And then finally, the last story I'll share with this, I mean, I could go on and on and on and on and on, but the last story I'll share with this is Lainey Wilson. Lainey Wilson is going to be 31 this month, and she moved to Nashville when she was 19. So what is that, 12 years ago? She moved to Nashville, and she said when she moved to Nashville, she bought like an Airstream trailer type of thing, but like not as nice, a tiny little trailer. And she said she lived out of that trailer for 3 years when she first moved to Nashville, just running around Nashville, giving her demo to anyone who would take it, playing anywhere that would hear her. And she said she had more no's and more doors slammed in her face than most people ever have. And it wasn't until a little show that you might have seen called Yellowstone that decided to give her a chance, and they started playing her music on the show. And then the creator of Yellowstone, Taylor Sheridan, called her one day and was like, I want to create a character. I basically want to create a character for you. And you basically get to be yourself, but you're going to play this girl called Abby. But you're going to be a musician. You're going to play your own music, all the things. And that's kind of what put her on the map. But you think of like 12 years ago, she moved to Nashville from a tiny, tiny, tiny town in Georgia. Her mom is a teacher. Her dad is a farmer. And she moves to Nashville with this huge dream and this huge vision. And all she ever wanted to do was sing country music. She's very similar to me. Like, I related to her story a lot when she's like, all I did was listen to country music growing up. Like, that's all I wanted to do. And to move to Nashville, live in a trailer for 3 years and get a lot of doors slammed in your face, and then finally get your break. And it's not in the way that you thought. Like, she thought she was just going to like make it big in the music industry and that was going to be it. But who knew it would be a show on Paramount that ultimately like put her on the map. Like, it just goes to show y'all, like, you have no idea the how. You are not supposed to know the how with your dreams. The how is not for you. The how is for God, source, universe, whatever you pray to, right? So if you are on the path to something and you feel like you're hitting walls, you feel like it's not happening fast enough, you feel like it's, there's things that are happening that are not the way you planned, can you go with it? Can you see and be open to possibilities and see where it takes you? Because I truly believe if you are here to do the thing that you're doing, whatever it is, it's your business, it's maybe you're a musician, maybe you're a performer, maybe you're an actor, maybe you're a teacher, like, I don't know, whatever you're here to do, can you stick around long enough to see it happen? Can you remove the timeline from the expectation and really just know with every fiber of your soul that you are here to do this thing, and that is why you are on this planet. And do it as long as you need to in order to make it happen. And I'm not saying hustle your way into the ground. I'm not saying burn out. I'm saying, can you hold so true to your vision that you know that no matter what, you're going to stay on the field. You're going to keep playing the game. You're going to keep your eye on the prize. Because y'all, there's too many of us that quit. Like, I've seen it happen so many times. People will, they're so gung-ho about their business that they're starting. They're so gung-ho about this opportunity that they have. And then something doesn't go their way, or it's not going fast enough, or, it's been 6 months and they don't have any clients. Like, I've seen this so many times. I have people that come to me and they build something, and 6 months later they still have no clients, or 7 months later they still have no money coming in. And it's like, well, I think we need to release the timeline. It's not up. You don't get to choose when it happens. You get to just choose to stay. You get to just choose to stay true to that vision that you have for your life, right? And 13 years living in a trailer for 3 years, right? He lived in a car with his mom. He doesn't have a dad. His dad's been in prison since 96, right? The other band, they've been a band for 20 years before they get the chance to play on a stage like that. Like, I see too many people quit after 6 months. I see too many people quit after a year. And it's like, these country singers, you see them on the stage and they're so in their genius, and people just like watch them, and they're playing to 80,000 people. Kane Brown, like, last performer of the night, 80,000 people at Stagecoach, right? Like, that is for sure the biggest crowd he's ever performed to. And he like holds the mic out and 80,000 people are singing his song. Like, can you stick around long enough to see your dreams happen like that? Because there are too many of you that aren't. There's too many people that just, it doesn't happen quick enough and they leave it. And, yes, there are people that seem to get famous overnight. Like, everybody thinks Lainey Wilson got famous overnight. I thought Lainey Wilson got famous overnight. I was one of those people that literally was assumed that, oh, she was on Yellowstone, and so that's how she got famous. Like, she was an actor who got on Yellowstone, and then she made some music and they were like, oh, let's put her on stage. And then I find out, no, she's been wanting to be a country singer since she was a little girl. She's been in Nashville for 12 years trying to make her music happen. And it wasn't until Yellowstone gave her a random opportunity that it really showed the world her music. She didn't know. Like, I guarantee you, if you would have asked Lainey Wilson 12 years ago, like, would you be an actor? Like, do you think you'll be on a show about country music? And like, do you think you'll get to play a country star on TV? She would have said, absolutely not. I'm here to be a singer. I'm a songwriter. I'm a musician. She would have never incorporated acting into her path. But here she is. She said yes to opportunities. She took them. She didn't quit because it got hard. She didn't quit because she was tired of living in a trailer and like move back home to Georgia. She didn't do that. So can you stick around? I remember when I decided to start building my brand, I've been building it, for the last 12 years, right? Like, ever since I became a fitness instructor, I was like, I am going to help people live their best life. That's what I'm going to do. And if you would have asked me 12 years ago, like, hey, Dee, could you see yourself having a, thriving, almost 7-figure coaching business? And I would have been like, no, because I was a fitness instructor back then. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to do fitness. So you just never know what it's going to go, and you just never know what's going to happen, and you just never know how it's all going to play out. But can you be open to opportunities? Can you stick around? Can you stay on the field? Can you stop bitching that it's been 6 months and you haven't made any money? And can you stay? I guarantee you, while Lainey Wilson was living in a trailer, giving her demo to anybody that would take it, I bet she was waitressing. I bet she was working at some random place. Kane Brown said while he used to put YouTube covers up on YouTube to try to get noticed. And at that time he was working at Lowe's. He was working in the garden department at Lowe's. Like, can you swallow your pride and like get a random job to make money and still build your dream? You know, that's the other thing I see so many people do. They're like, oh, I don't want to go get a real job. I don't want to go get like a stupid like 9 to 5 or like shift work job because I'm an entrepreneur. I'm building my business. And it's like, yeah, but when you're not making money consistently from your business, you're causing your life stress, and then you get depressed, and then you end up in these like crazy cycles of not making money. And it's like, I worked at Starbucks for a long time. I worked for SoulCycle while I was building my coaching business. I did a lot of different things. And it's like, sometimes you just got to go do something that, you know, makes you money so that you can still build your dream. Can you do that? I don't know. I was just so inspired this weekend just listening to all of these people. And then like Brooks and Dunn performs. And like these guys have been, I mean, Brand New Man by Brooks and Dunn is my favorite song of all time. And I remember I was like 7 years old when I first heard that song, and it was so good. And I just remember being like, wow, this is amazing. And I got to hear it live for the first time last night, and these guys sound the same. Like 30 something years later, these men sound exactly the same. They've gotten better with age. Their music is legendary, and every single person knows every word to every one of their song, and they just play hit after hit after hit after hit. And these are not hits that are new. Like these are hits that have been hits for 30 years. And, you know, it makes you think of legacy. Are you building a legacy, or are you building a flash in the pan business to get rich? Like there's a different energy, right? I am not here to just make money. I make money because I have a lifestyle. I love money. I love making money because I love my life, and I want to be able to afford the life that I have, right? Like my business is thriving, and I love my business the way that I love it because I want to live the life that I want to live, right? Like I'm not here, like I don't live to work. I just don't. And you watch these men on stage, and they've just built this incredible legacy for themselves. And 30 years later, people are still singing their songs. 30 years later, are people still going to be singing your songs? Are they still going to remember the impact that you had on them? Because if all you're worried about is like when it's going to happen and how it's going to happen and making it happen in the timeline that you want it to happen in, you're missing it. You're missing the point. You're missing the moment. You're thinking outside of yourself. I hope this is inspiring, because I could probably talk about this forever, but I'm not going to. I just think that there's so much to be learned from seeing like performers who have been working their ass off to get to where they are, and hearing their stories, and just reminding yourself like the timeline is not yours to decide. It's just not. And 13 years from now, if you're living in a trailer building your business, if 5 years from now, you're still working at Lowe's in the garden department, trying to get your music heard, trying to get your business off the ground, will you stay? Just something to think about. If this was helpful, please share it with somebody. Remember, you can always get a discount on my courses and my programs and all the things if you go to Apple Podcasts and you scroll to the bottom and you add a 5-star review and write me a rating, or 5-star rating and write me a review. Screenshot that and send it to my team at hey@daniellemcclary.com. They'll send you a discount code to use on any program, the mastermind, private mentorship. There's a lot of different ways you can use that code as a thank you for helping me grow my podcast. So I'll be back on Friday with another episode, and I hope you have a good day. Bye.